The Four Agreements is a powerful and transformative book written by Don Miguel Ruiz. Rooted in ancient Toltec wisdom, this book offers a practical guide to personal freedom, true happiness, and love. Ruiz explores how our beliefs and subconscious agreements formed through culture and upbringing often create unnecessary suffering. He then introduces four simple yet deeply impactful agreements that can change the way we think, feel, and behave. By practicing these agreements, be impeccable with your word, don't take anything personally, don't make assumptions, and always do your best. One can break free from self-limiting beliefs and live a more authentic and peaceful life. This audiobook summary is brought to you by Audiobook World, a channel dedicated to sharing the most valuable insights from powerful books in a simple and engaging way. Whether you're commuting, relaxing, or taking a walk, Audiobook World helps you grow mentally and emotionally through the wisdom of life-changing books. Our aim is to make personal development accessible and enjoyable for everyone, one book at a time. Chapter 1. The Domestication of Humans. In Chapter 1 of the Four Agreements titled The Domestication of Humans, Don Miguel Ruiz dives deep into how we as human beings are shaped by the world around us, long before we even understand who we truly are. From a very young age, we begin to learn through a system of rewards and punishments, a process Ruiz compares to the way animals are trained. This system teaches us what is right and what is wrong, what is good and what is bad. But the key issue is, these definitions are not ours. They are imposed on us by our parents, schools, religion, media, and society. As children, our minds are incredibly open. We believe what adults tell us without question because we trust them. Over time, we accept their beliefs as truth and start forming unconscious agreements about ourselves, about others, and about how the world works. This creates a mental structure that Ruiz calls the Book of Law. It becomes our inner rule book, and everything we think or do is judged against it. The problem is, many of the rules in this Book of Law are based on fear. We are taught to behave a certain way not because it's aligned with who we truly are, but because we fear punishment, rejection, or not being loved. Slowly, we lose our authenticity. We stop asking questions like, "Is this really true for me?" and start living in a way that earns approval from others. As we grow older, the outer voices of authority are replaced by our inner judge, a voice that constantly criticizes and punishes us for not being perfect, according to the Book of Law. Alongside the judge lives the victim, the part of us that feels helpless, ashamed, and guilty. Whenever we make a mistake, or even just think we've failed, the judge attacks, and the victim suffers. This dynamic creates endless cycles of emotional pain and self-rejection. Ruiz explains that this domestication robs us of our personal freedom. We become prisoners of our own beliefs, most of which we never consciously chose. Instead of living with joy, love, and authenticity, we live with fear, guilt, and shame. But he also offers hope. By becoming aware of this domestication process, we gain the power to break free from it. We can begin to question our inherited beliefs, challenge the Book of Law, and rewrite our agreements with truth, love, and personal choice. This chapter sets the stage for the rest of the book by showing us that the life we currently live, full of struggle, stress, and emotional suffering, is largely the result of unconscious programming. But once we see the system, we can begin to free ourselves from it and reclaim our true identity. The rest of the book then introduces the Four Agreements, which serve as powerful tools to undo this domestication and guide us back to inner peace and personal freedom. Chapter 2. The First Agreement. Be impeccable with your word. In Chapter 2 of the Four Agreements, Don Miguel Ruiz introduces the first and most important agreement: be impeccable with your word. At first glance, this might sound simple: speak truthfully or don't lie. But Ruiz goes much deeper. He explains that our words are incredibly powerful. They are like seeds we plant in the minds of others and ourselves. Words can inspire, heal, uplift, but they can also wound, poison, and destroy. Just like magic, they can either create beauty or spread darkness. To be impeccable means to be without sin. Ruiz explains that in this context, sin is anything that goes against yourself. So being impeccable with your word means speaking with integrity, saying only what you mean, avoiding self-judgment, gossip, or using words to manipulate or harm others. When we use our word against ourselves, calling ourselves stupid, ugly, unworthy, we're casting a spell on our own spirit. We reinforce negative beliefs and weaken our self-worth. Ruiz also warns us about the power of gossip and careless speech. When we speak negatively about someone, we spread emotional poison. Even worse, when we listen to or believe what others say about us, especially harsh criticism or judgment, we make unconscious agreements that shape our self-image. A single comment, like, "You're not good enough," if accepted, can haunt someone for years. This chapter emphasizes that every word we speak or hear has the power to either set us free or keep us trapped. If we become mindful and use our word with love, truth, and positivity, we start transforming not only our own lives but also the lives of those around us. It becomes the foundation for breaking free from fear and living with authenticity. Ruiz concludes by saying that mastering this agreement will alone change your life. It's the first step in breaking the old cycle of domestication and creating new, empowering beliefs based on love rather than fear. Chapter 3. The second agreement, don't take anything personally. In Chapter 3 of the 4 agreements, Don Miguel Ruiz introduces the second agreement, don't take anything personally. This agreement is a powerful tool for emotional freedom. Ruiz explains that nothing others do is really because of you. It's always a reflection of their own beliefs, emotions, and personal reality. When someone says something hurtful or acts in a certain way, it's not truly about you. It's about them, their wounds, their fears, and their perspective of the world. When we take things personally, we make ourselves the center of everything. We believe that what others say or do is a direct attack on our worth. This opens the door to unnecessary suffering, anger, sadness, resentment, and insecurity. Ruiz emphasizes that even praise and compliments should not be taken personally. Why? Because they are still based on the other person's opinions and expectations, not your true self. He shares a powerful insight. When you take something personally, you are agreeing with what was said. If someone calls you stupid and you take it personally, it means you're starting to believe it even if it's not true. But if you don't accept their words, they carry no weight. You're free. Ruiz also explains that people live in their own dream or perception of reality, shaped by their experiences, beliefs, and emotional history. So when someone reacts negatively or behaves badly, it's usually about their own inner turmoil, not your actions. Understanding this truth helps us detach from judgment and protect our inner peace. By practicing this agreement, we stop giving others the power to control our emotions. We become immune to criticism and manipulation because we no longer base our self-worth on others' opinions. It brings clarity, strength, and emotional independence. Ruiz teaches that by not taking anything personally, we create a space between action and reaction, a space where true freedom begins. Chapter 4. The third agreement, don't make assumptions. In Chapter 4 of the 4 agreements, Don Miguel Ruiz presents the third agreement, don't make assumptions. This chapter reveals how much pain, misunderstanding, and conflict in our lives comes from assuming things that aren't true. We assume we know what others are thinking. We assume we understand their behavior. We assume they understand us. And when these assumptions turn out to be wrong, as they often do, we feel hurt, betrayed, or angry. Ruiz explains that our mind constantly looks for meaning and fills in gaps when we don't have all the information. Instead of asking questions or seeking clarity, we create stories in our head and believe them as facts. For example, if someone doesn't return your message, you might assume they're ignoring you or upset with you, even if they were simply busy. These imagined scenarios trigger unnecessary emotional reactions and damage our relationships. One of the most harmful assumptions we make is that others see the world the same way we do. We expect them to behave, speak, or love in the ways we want, and when they don't, we feel disappointed. This is especially true in close relationships, where unspoken expectations often lead to resentment. Ruiz encourages open, honest communication as the antidote. He urges us to find the courage to ask questions, express what we really want, and listen carefully to others without jumping to conclusions. He also reminds us to apply this agreement internally, by not making assumptions about ourselves. Often, we assume we can't do something, or that we're not good enough, without even trying. These self-limiting beliefs keep us stuck. By practicing this agreement, we free ourselves from misunderstandings and unnecessary emotional pain. We begin to live with more clarity, honesty, and trust. Ruiz says that with this agreement alone, you can completely transform your relationships and deepen your connection with others, simply by refusing to assume and choosing to ask instead. The Four Agreements by Don Miguel Ruiz is more than just a self-help book. It is a spiritual manifesto for personal transformation. Rooted in ancient Toltec wisdom, this book explores how the beliefs we inherit from our family, society, religion, and culture silently shape our lives and often lead to suffering, fear, and limitation. From the moment we are born, we are taught what to believe, how to behave, and what is considered right or wrong. This domestication process builds a set of invisible agreements in our minds that dictate our identity and our interaction with the world. However, most of these agreements are based on fear, guilt, shame, and the need for approval. Don Miguel Ruiz offers a powerful and liberating alternative. 4 conscious agreements that, when practiced with awareness, can help us break free from the mental prison we've unknowingly built. The first agreement, be impeccable with your word, teaches the power of language and truth. The second, don't take anything personally, frees us from the trap of other people's opinions and judgments. The third, don't make assumptions, encourages clarity and communication over confusion and conflict. And the fourth, always do your best, reminds us to stay present and consistent without judging ourselves harshly. Together, these 4 agreements become a practical and spiritual guide for living a more authentic, peaceful, and empowered life. And to make such powerful ideas more accessible to listeners around the world, Audiobook World proudly presents this book in audio format, bringing you not just the content but the emotional essence behind each word. Audiobook World is your companion in the journey of self-discovery, personal growth, and learning. Our mission is to deliver the world's best books in an engaging, easy-to-understand style, so you can absorb deep knowledge while you travel, relax, or reflect. Whether you're new to spiritual books or a seasoned seeker, Audiobook World brings wisdom to your ears and transformation to your life, one book at a time.